Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bill Monger, and welcome back to another episode of PuuCraft. Now, where have I been? I have been in America's last frontier. I've been in Alaska, and I've loved every single second of it. But that meant I could not record videos, and I couldn't do anything for you guys. So that was a disappointment, but you know, vacationing, travel, it's always probably my favorite thing to do. So yeah, it was a school trip. I'll tell you a lot about it. But I actually did a little bit of work in between episodes, and starting out. Oh, are you a brown sheep? You know, I like brown sheep because they're so rare, and brown wool is so rare because you need dungeon cocoa beans to get it. So I'm gonna take your wool real quick. Regardless, I have done some work. For one, let's start with the actual house. I didn't do anything to the actual house, except I added a few bricks mixed in, which I did originally, but I decided against it, but now I decided in favor of it as well. So it's a little bit like that. I did not do the sides or back. I'm not going to do the sides, because they're pretty clean and well done as of now, especially with the leaves that I put there. With the back, I think I could definitely add some stuff, but I really don't think it's that important, so I don't know. Let's get to the real meat and potatoes of what I've done, which is this landscaping. Now, it's fairly simple. It's essentially meant to be kind of like a secluded pathway, or create a secluded pathway throughout the village that will eventually be built here. So, we got the fence posts, just to create natural barriers, or not so natural barriers. The actual natural barriers are these little stone spikes here. I've got 3 of them, and I think they add a lot. Pathway itself is made of cobblestone slabs, and stone pressure plates. Now, the thing about these, you can step on them all day, just all day, and they will not make any noise. The noise for the pressure plates had not been implemented yet, which means you can actually use these for decoration without getting your face chopped off by sound. That was a weird metaphor, but you get what I'm saying. I actually really liked it. The last thing I did was this mine shaft, and I just completed it. I liked the logs and plank feel of it, but I wanted some color, so I added a little bit of red wool into this area, and also just as a decoration on the outside as well, sort of inspired by an orcish settlement Iskall did for a project on Hermitcraft, the Mobilisa. You guys have probably heard of it, but whatever. That is basically what I've done, and today's episode will, for the most part, take place in this mine shaft, because I have a little bit of catching up to do for you. So I'm going to recap the Alaska trip down here while mining, and I'm also going to recap the Kentucky trip that I took, and I've only released one video since, because I've been slacking off and trying to decide what I want to do with this channel. So yeah, that's where I'm currently standing. Let's do some mining. Welcome, guys, to the great depths of the world. So, I'm here in the mine shaft. The little base of it is up there. There are a few corner turns, but nothing too major. And I am just going to do a little bit of strip mining for you, while I sort of explain what's going on. So let's start with Kentucky, because that was chronologically first. Honestly, it's not exactly the most interesting trip for a lot of you, but I loved it because there were a lot of weird tourist trap type things that I really liked. Starting off, we got to Kentucky. Even before we got to Kentucky, there were some tourist trap things. I stayed in oh my gosh, that was quick. That was seriously quick, guys. You saw that, right? But I went to a college town with Victorian architecture, which is Staunton, Virginia. We also drove through Shenandoah on the way to Staunton, but we slept in West Virginia overnight, and essentially I ended up getting to a coal mine exhibition, which I think I enjoyed. It was pretty fun. You kind of drove through the coal mine, and you actually got to see what coal miners' lives were like in the past. And then there was like a settlement that was like kind of a museum of how coal miners lived. And it was interesting because they basically like sold their soul to the company with contracts and stuff. Like they could not leave the company. They were paid in company script and stuff like that. It was actually pretty dystopian, but after we left that, we actually ended up going to the West Virginia State Capitol building, which it has kind of like a golden dome rather than like a white dome like DC Capitol, which made it just look super intriguing. I'm gonna go this way. I don't want to deal with the dirt, but yeah, it was kind of intriguing. And then there was like a war memorial and the Capitol building and like some other monuments near it, and that was really cool. Only thing is though, it was right across the street from basically some like suburban sprawl. It was like next to a McDonald's. It was next to a lot of things that were just like randomly placed next to the Capitol, which was weird. I have to say, southern state capitals are weird. When we got to Frankfort, the capital of Kentucky, I'll tell you a little bit more about why we were there soon, but we essentially had to drive through a parking garage to get off the highway and into Frankfurt, which was honestly the strangest thing. But whatever. After leaving the West Virginia State Capitol, I took a few pictures because it was a nice building, and I actually have it as my lock screen of my phone for some odd reason. But it was pretty nice. After that, we slept in Lexington, Kentucky. We got to Lexington, and we were gonna do some stuff in Lexington, except there was a huge storm, and we wanted to do like the indoor activities first. And the indoor activities were in Frankfurt and Louisville. Frankfurt, essentially, we had reserved a trip beforehand to tour the Buffalo Trace Bourbon Distillery. I toured this bourbon distillery. It was my dad's thing for the most part. I liked it ish, but it was probably the most boring thing I did in Kentucky besides drive. After that, we went to Louisville, and there was this old limestone mine that was turned into a BMX track, which is kind of the weirdest thing ever, but it was actually really cool. I tried it for a little bit, and then I forgot that I didn't know how to ride a bike, and I decided to just can it and go somewhere else. So after we got back to Lexington, we went for another day in Lexington. We went to the Kentucky Horse Park. If anyone knows anything about Kentucky, they love their horses. Kentucky Derby, you know, that was not going on at the time, which is a bit of a shame because I would have seen a game if it was. But we saw like a little horse show. They showed us various types of horses, including a breed from Turkmenistan, which was honestly really interesting and really fun to think about for some reason. And it was a beautiful horse too. Seriously, it was an amazing horse. After that, we went to a really interesting tourist attraction. One of those like random stop in the roads that you wouldn't be able to see, which was like it was a mini golf course themed after the Bible, and you know, it wasn't like that thematic. I mean, it had some really cool like themed holes, but like I've seen some golf courses in Florida that are slightly better overall in that case, but overall, it was just a really nice mini golf course. We did the Old Testament and the New Testament, both of which were 18 holes. There was a third one on miracles that we didn't get to do, and that was a little bit of a shame. Beyond that, we went to see a motel. We didn't stay in the motel because the Yelp reviews were terrible, but I wanted to actually just take a few pictures of it for whatever reason. And it wasn't just a random motel. This is like a wigwam motel. Like there were these concrete wigwam-shaped cabins that you basically used, or you basically slept in. But the Yelp reviews were so bad, we like decided, okay, no, we are not doing this for the night. We drove to Bowling Green, Kentucky, with essentially the National Corvette Museum, it's an interesting museum. They actually suffered like some sinkhole in the past few years that swallowed several of the Corvettes on display. But they rebuilt, and they actually really, really capitalized on the fact that there was a sinkhole there. They had like an outline of where the sinkhole hit. They had like an interactive sinkhole experience of what happened if you were in that building at the time of the sinkhole. they like turned the sinkhole into this huge publicity stunt because they actually got some pretty good airtime over the Corvettes being swallowed by the sinkhole. Regardless, that was pretty cool. We then went to Kentucky Down Under. It's kind of like an adventure zoo, which is I got to like feed an emu, which is something I'm probably never gonna do again, but it was amazing. Seriously, like, how many of you can say you fed an emu? And we also saw some kangaroos, which were really cool. We didn't actually feed them. I decided not to get very close because they were a little bit, like, scary to me. You know what kangaroos can do to a human, right? But they were next to me with no fencing whatsoever. So that was sort of fun. After that day, we started driving back, and we didn't do very much that last driving day. It wasn't the last day, there was a day afterwards, but we didn't do much that day because it was just pure driving. We stayed then in Wheeling, West Virginia, which, if you don't know, it's closer to Pittsburgh than any other part of West Virginia is to it. So we did a little bit of, like, there's this cool little, like, private park there, which was essentially, yeah, it was nice. It was like, there was like a lodge there. Me and my father, who was coming with me, we played a little bit of air hockey against each other, and I have to say I won pretty much a few times. So this is where I would normally put the clip that involves me telling you about Alaska. But I think that'll have to wait for another episode, guys, because, okay, first of all, lag. That appears to be a thing. But the episode, even after trimming, has gotten pretty long, and I just want to get something out for you guys. So I'm gonna, like, call it here. So if you enjoyed the video, oh yeah, no F5, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you later.